I would argue the most important variable in all of retirement planning is life expectancy. If we knew exactly how long you were going to live, everything becomes a lot easier. I could tell you when to take Social Security. Spending down from your portfolio would be loads easier. Even uncertainty in your investment portfolio would drop significantly. Now, it is said that longevity is the amplifier of all other risks. The longer you live, the more stock market crashes you are going to see, the more inflation you will experience, and so on. The longer you live, the longer you need your money to last. This is very apparent when we compare how much you can safely withdraw from your portfolio based on safe withdrawal rates. Look at the effect of living just 10 years longer in retirement. You can spend roughly 35% more wealth by living a shorter retirement in this comparison. Now, I will admit, I don't have a crystal ball that can tell you exactly how long you're going to live. But I do have 3 surprising things about retirement longevity that will show you you're probably going to live longer than you think. And this is the main reason I wanted to record a video about longevity. Lately, I've talked to quite a few retirees that think they're going to pass away well before age 80, either due to general pessimism, family history, or some other variable. And this has ripple effects throughout their retirement plan. So for some, this video hopefully helps reset certain longevity expectations. Number 1, I talked to too many retirees that peg their guess for their life expectancy off life expectancy from birth, which here in the US is around age 78. Even though this is the most discussed life expectancy figure, it's an inaccurate number to use in retirement planning. Every year you live, your life expectancy goes up. If you think about basic statistics, this makes sense. If you live to age 60, you outlive a large pool of people that tragically die at birth or in their teens or even later in life. Those who pass away early, by definition, bring down the life expectancy from birth number. Let me say this a different way. When you reach age 79, your life expectancy can't still be 78, right? So every year that you age, your life expectancy grows. Now, Social Security has a great tool that you can use, and I'll link to this below, that will give you your life expectancy based on sex and age. For a male who just turned 65, you're expected to live more than 6 years longer than the often quoted life expectancy from birth number. Here's a trend I notice many retirees fall into. Once you reach a certain age, say age 60, you are more likely to have friends of similar age start to pass away. In every case, whether from poor health or freak accident, this is extremely sad and often a scary place to find yourself. The trend that I see, however, is many start to discount their own life expectancy because of seeing their peers pass away. Death starts to become a lot more real once your peers start to experience it. If it happened to Jerry, for instance, it can certainly happen to me. The anecdotal can start to weigh heavier in your brain than the hard data actually shows. Do your best to pull yourself back to the data. Every day you live, your life expectancy increases. Something else that may surprise you, the more wealth you have, the longer you are expected to live. And the gaps that wealth can have on your life expectancy are quite large. In the case of both genders, the difference between being in the top 1% versus bottom 1% of wealth is a life expectancy difference of approximately 10 years. Again, this makes sense if we think about it. Someone who is living paycheck to paycheck is forced to ignore an ache or a pain that could be an indication of a deeper problem. On the other side of the spectrum, one with more wealth can afford more preventative measures, often not covered by insurance. Most of the audience watching this video will likely be at least above average, if not in the top quartile of wealth, just based on the content that we put out on this channel. Given this, it's quite likely that your life expectancy is extended beyond just general life expectancy data for your age. Now, this graph is shown based on household income, which isn't as good of an indicator for retirement, but obviously income and wealth are closely correlated in most instances. To give you an idea, if you are in the top 40% of household income, that would equate to your household earnings being above $94,000 in 2023. And then finally, and I know this is going to make your jaw completely drop, good health is highly correlated to better longevity. In 2018, American Heart Association published a paper showing the impact of 5 factors that can either lower or increase your longevity. Let's look at the first factor, physical activity per week. With all of these factors, the younger you are, the bigger the impact. Eventually, all amounts of activity converge as you aren't living to 120 based on your physical activity per week. Let's focus on the extremes throughout these examples. For a male, the difference between working out for about 50 minutes a day versus 15 minutes a day is roughly a difference in 4 years of life expectancy at age 70. For women, it's closer to 3.5 years worth of difference. Next, we look at smoking. This is shown as life expectancy loss rather than gain. Here, a non-smoker would be shown as 0, and every line shown is some variation of a current versus past smoker. If you are a current smoker smoking more than 15 cigarettes a day, which seems like quite a bit, and are 70, that translates on average to roughly 6 to 8 years off your life, regardless of gender. Of the 5 factors, smoking and weekly activity are by far the 2 most influential factors. The other 3 factors are diet quality, level of alcohol consumption, and finally BMI, which measures weight compared to height. Combining all of these together, this paper rates each recipient on their place in each category. If you are not a smoker and exercise quite a bit, but you struggle with a healthy diet, consume quite a bit of alcohol, and because of this, your weight is a bit heavier relative to your height, meaning your BMI is higher, you would be considered to have 2 low-risk lifestyle factors. Here's a chart that compares the number of low-risk factors on a relative basis. As a 70-year-old, if you find yourself with 5 low-risk factors, the data shows you're expected to live roughly 8 to 10 years longer than a counterpart with only 1 low-risk factor. This shouldn't come as a huge surprise, but it is quite interesting to see this shown in more data-driven terms. You can do a lot to affect your longevity through your daily habits and routine. Now understand, these factors don't all stack on one another. There is some overlap in some of the data that we've shown. It's not as if you can be a 65-year-old, which as a male would mean your life expectancy is roughly 84. Oh, but you are also in the top 10% of wealth in the US, which adds another 3 to 4 years. Oh, and you have 4 of the 5 low risk factors, so that adds another 6 years. So now your life expectancy is 94 years of age. Again, this would be an inaccurate interpretation of the data. But I showed this data because it's worth extending out your life expectancy expectations to some degree as you start to look at how you fit relative to each of these wealth and health factors. The takeaway for most watching this video, if you've been thinking you're likely to pass away before your 80s, most of the data shows you will live a lot longer than you think. It's worth considering what impact that has in your retirement. Now, if you're looking for strategies on how to extend your retirement savings as you live in your 80s and potentially even your 90s, click on this video right here where I talk through 5 retirement distribution strategies you can use to get more from your wealth. Click here to learn more, and always remember, you don't need more money, you need a better plan. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.